Hello and welcome. I'm Bimbo Loyede. Tonight, operatives of the Department of Security Services uncover a four-man syndicate alleged to be behind the trafficking of 36 children to Bayelsa State. For the second time, tribunal hearing petition on the Akwa Ibom state governorship election turns down request to reject testimonies of a witness of the All Progressive Congress. Workers in Osun State make U-turn, embark on another industrial action 2 days after calling off a 6-week-old strike. And Greeks protest at Parliament as MPs debate tough economic measures for an 86 billion Eurozone bailout.
And on business news tonight, the federal government extends Manitoba hydro management contract by 1 year.
On sports news, Sunday Olisa's reign as Super Eagles coach begins with a promise to give his best on the job.
We begin in Bayelsa State, South Nigeria, where a child trafficking syndicate that specializes in leasing underage children to serve as maids has been busted by the State Security Service in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa State capital. While parading the suspects, the State Security Service revealed that the group deceived the children's parents, promising them of a better living condition and education.
Fate has been hard on these young ones, as their faces say it all. 36 of them have been brought into Bayelsa State by a four-man syndicate, including a woman who claimed to be missionaries. We gather that the children are allegedly taken from their parents from the northern part of the country with promises of providing education and good living condition for them. 54-year-old Pastor Anthony Onubiye from Enugu State is said to be the leader of the group. He says he travels to Kebbi and Zamfara states to bring the children after their parents nod.
I not bring these children here because they are the best of the schools here in Bayelsa. No. I brought them here because of the minding of the people that want to help them with a Christian heart. I came here as a missionary and they saw me. And after preaching, I accepted to take the children.
I don't stand to gain anything. Instead,
Ms. Tombra Alaziga is an accomplice in the alleged child trafficking business.
I'm running a charity organization. I am registered with the gender. And I also in a school at Biobulo, Christian Heritage Schools. I've been taking care of the fatherless children and the vulnerable children. When, fortunately or unfortunately, I met with one pastor, Igbadiowe. He now introduced me to these pastors from the north. And they gave me some documents covering the bringing of the children. That was how I started taking the children. The purpose of bringing them is for us to foster the children for them, educate the children, and these are an agreement between we and the parents that whenever the child wants to go back, the child can leave.
But some of the children who spoke to us state otherwise.
She tell me say she will put me in school. So I come next time, she put me in school, but I used to go farm. I used to sell water for her. So the person that brought me, he don't know about that one. So as we are doing like that, one day she can't tell me, say, make I no go school. She no go pay my school again because I am lazy girl. I don't like to work in her house.
If they do use go farm, use sell water.
What do you do for your house?
They use sell water and use go farm.
Spokesperson for the State Director of Security in Bayelsa State narrates how the syndicate met their Waterloo.
36 of the children, made up of 12 males and 24 females, were rescued from homes where they were given out as house helps in Yenagoa and Kayama in Bayelsa State, Enugu-Agidi in Anambra State, and Port Harcourt, River State. The age range of these children is between 5 and 14 years. The kingpins who operate under the guise of missionaries and non-governmental organizations target vulnerable children, largely of northern extraction or from northern part of the country, particularly from Zulu ethnic group in Kebbi and Zamfara State, as well as Zaria in Kaduna State.
The 36 children are now in the custody of the Department of State Security, DSS, and would be handed over to the Agency for the Prohibition of Human Trafficking, NAPTIP, for further investigations.
Meanwhile, the National Human Rights Commission has criticized the increasing cases of domestic violence against women and children in the country. Speaking in Abuja while playing host to the National Council of Women's Societies, the Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission, Professor Bem Angwe, says the prosecution of perpetrators of domestic violence by the Commission is being hampered by women who seek to shield the perpetrators from the long arm of the law. Professor Angwe appealed to women and victims of domestic violence to stop shielding perpetrators, as the Commission is prepared to bring such to justice.
We have a prevailing situation of domestic violence in this country. On a daily basis, the Commission receives over 200 cases across the country of women being maltreated, women being molested, women having their rights abused, children having their rights abused. And most of the times when the Commission seeks to enforce the rights of those women and to also ensure that the perpetrators are punished by the police, women come back to us, pleading with us to stop the prosecution of their husbands or the prosecution of the perpetrators on grounds that they don't want stigma to their own children.
The Akwa Ibom State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, sitting in Abuja, has once again turned down the request to disqualify witnesses of the All Progressive Congress, APC, from giving testimonies in the last governorship election in the state. The tribunal said Governor Udom Emmanuel and his party, the People's Democratic Party, did not raise any new point, and as such, its previous ruling stands. Our correspondent, Amaka Okafor, has a report.
At the resumed hearing, the All Progressive Congress called its witnesses, but again, the lawyer to the governor of Akwa Ibom State and the People's Democratic Party raised objections to the witnesses adopting their written statement on the ground that there is no evidence to confer ownership of the statements to the 7 witnesses whose names do not appear on the said statements of oath.
We had to raise that issue again because each time there is a witness statement, it's to use an ordinary language, it's a separate transaction, which means if you do not object, it could be presumed that you do not object to it. And if you decide to raise it at the Court of Appeal, you might be shut out.
The tribunal ruled otherwise, and as lawyers, we are bound by the rulings of the tribunal. So we will consider all the issues altogether in consultation with our client, and we take necessary steps.
In its response, lawyer to the All Progressive Congress asked the tribunal to dismiss the objections of the governor on the ground that the issue was raised at the previous proceedings and a comprehensive ruling was given by the tribunal to settle the matter.
At the session of yesterday, there was this issue as to the competence or validity of the witness statements made by our respective prospective witnesses in respect of the petition. The same objection was to be taken all over today, but of course the tribunal, at the instance of our own position, eventually heard that that issue had become settled and that it should no longer be revisited.
In a short ruling, the chairman of the tribunal, Justice Sadiq Umar, upheld the argument of the All Progressive Congress and rejected the move to disqualify its witnesses and their statements of oath. Justice Umar said the objection is overruled on the ground that the same subject matter was conversed at the previous proceedings, and since there are no new issues raised by the governor and his party, the objection fails. According to the judge, it is not to say where an objection is right in law, it will not be considered or allowed. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
Still on tribunal sittings, this time in Gombe State, where the All Progressive Congress, APC, is asking the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal to grant its request for the conduct of forensic examinations of electoral materials in the 2015 governorship election, in spite of the motion suffering a setback at the first sitting. Counsel to the APC, Mr. Ayola Ajayi, is not happy that the tribunal's order for the release of election materials to facilitate the forensic examination has not been respected. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission insists that all documents have been made available to the petitioner as directed by the tribunal.
Over 3 months since the governorship election, Gombe State Tribunal has been busy. Scrutiny of the process has held here. The petitioner is asking for access into INEC's database as well as a recount of votes cast for the election. While the tribunal granted the application for the electoral materials to be made available, the application to call additional witnesses and the engagement of forensic experts was countered by the Defense Counsel, insisting that the complaints filed by the petitioner was limited to 677 polling units out of the 2,168 polling units, which will not warrant a recounting of the all votes cast. The Defense Counsel also argued that conducting forensic examination of electoral materials and recount of votes would mean accessing INEC's database and taking biometrics of voters, which could breach the constitutional rights of the voters. The session is over for the day, but the case is far from over. The PDP Council appears set to see what next the petitioner will bring to the table for argument.
First one, they wanted an extension of time so that the court will allow them bring in certain documents and then allow them also bring additional witnesses.
But for the petitioner, the access asked for gives a ray of hope.
We have taken steps regarding to get them to comply with the court order regarding the inspection and the forensic examination of documents. So I believe steps have been taken to get them served the processes.
The umpire has his own grievance in the matter.
Out of the 13 volumes of papers they filed in the tribunal, 11 of the volumes were documents that were given to the petitioners by INEC even before they filed their petition. So I am surprised, I'm taken aback when they are complaining that INEC is not assisting them or is not complying with the orders.
Beyond the surprise, the debate on the matter will continue. Until then, the parties here will have to perfect their defense and wait for the verdict of the tribunal.
In part 2, after the break, Army says 28 soldiers killed by Boko Haram in the northeast and gunmen in the north central. Please stay with us.